Sayrafiezadeh teaches at Hunter College. He is the author of the short story collection Brief Encounters with the Enemy and the memoir When Skateboards Will Be Free.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Tyler had the unenviable job of trying to pronounce my last name, which he got like 55% right, but that's okay. I'm going to read just briefly from my memoir, When Skateboards Will Be Free, about growing up in the Socialist Workers' Party, which maybe some folks here are familiar with. Anybody remember the Great Boycott of the 1970s? All right. So for the rest of you, brief history lesson. When I was 4 years old, there arose one morning an unresolvable crisis between my mother and me. I was in my bedroom playing with my toys when she entered and knelt beside me on the floor. "We will not be eating grapes or lettuce anymore," she said. I put my toys down and looked up into her face. It seemed odd and outlandish, this sudden rule, the kind of rule that comes from nowhere, out of nowhere, made solely at the whim of the adult world. "That's a dumb rule," I said. "It's not a dumb rule," my mother said, and she went on to patiently explain that the rule was not her own, but the rule of the Socialist Workers' Party, which was itself following the rule of Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers, who had called for a national boycott of table grapes and iceberg lettuce. All of this she described in the simplest of terms that allowed me to understand and accept the edict. "You're such a good boy," my mother said. As the days passed, however, and the boycott carried on, I found that my desire for grapes began to eclipse my compassion for the workers. Now it was my turn to interrupt my mother one morning. "I'm ready to eat grapes," I said. She looked down at me quizzically. "You can't eat grapes," she said. "You know that." And then she added, "And you can't eat iceberg lettuce." "I don't want to eat iceberg lettuce," I responded brightly, thinking that she would see this as a welcome compromise. "Well, you can't eat that either," she said with measure, adult with child, adult instructing child. I detected, though, somewhere beneath her rational exterior, an undercurrent of satisfaction. "I want to eat grapes," I said. "You can't eat grapes," she said. And then I screamed, "I want to eat grapes!" And I melted to the floor, rolling onto my back. "Well, you can't eat grapes," the light and airy voice said, "and you can't eat iceberg lettuce." Thank you.